Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? My name is Andre Wilcock, and this is the first episode of the Fourth and Faith podcast. Look, so you're probably asking, what's Fourth and Faith about? Honestly, it's just about, man, when your back is against the wall and the only thing that you have left in life to rely on is your faith. And we all had those moments in our lives. We all had those moments to where, like, look, man, God, I can't do this on my own. And, with me being a ball coach, man, it just, it's very fitting that, fourth down, either you got to figure it out or get up the field. And, a lot of times we have the option just to give up and just walk off the field. But, no one wants to go out like that. Everyone wants to go, you know what, man, it's fourth and faith time. Hey, God, I don't know how you're going to show up and show out, but I know that you will on my behalf. And so a little bit about me, again, Andre Wilcock. I'm a husband, a father of two daughters. And, obviously for my married folk out there, y'all know that, man, being married ain't easy. But it's that fourth and faith mindset. Is like, look, you know what? Giving up on this ain't an option. So we gonna push through. And it's all about the breakthrough. We all have that fourth and faith moment in our lives. And so a little bit about me. And again, this ain't gonna be one of those podcasts that you're gonna have to use 4 or 5 days out the week to finish through. But the goal here is to honestly, just push through about 15 minutes of content, sometimes 10 minutes. If we get to an hour, we will. And sometimes that we'll have, guests on here. I'll have other guys come in and women as well come in and, just give their testimonies and tell us about their fourth and faith moment in life. But a little bit about me so you kind of get an idea of where this podcast is going to be going. I got saved at, 18 years old at North Greenville University, but that fourth and faith moment didn't come until I graduated from college when I was 21 years old. It was a time in my life where, I graduated. I thought life got easier after graduation. I'm like, hey, man, I got my diploma, I got my degree. And I was like, hey, man, let's do this. Let's use this degree and get rich. But that wasn't the case for me. The reality of my situation was I couldn't find a job. I remember interviewing at CC's Pizza, and the guy just looked at me dead in my face and said, hey, man, you're too qualified for this job. I'm like, man, I don't care about qualifications. I care about getting food in my stomach. And if you're going to give me food and a paycheck, I'll do what needs to be done. But anyway, long story short, didn't get the job at CC's Pizza, but man, I'm living from pillar to post at this time. After graduation, life got a little real for me. I ended up sleeping on this friend's couch and that friend's couch, and so, I remember, that fourth and fifth moment in my life. I was praying one day. I'm like, God, man, you got to show me what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, hey, man, like I'm lost. God, I trust you. I believe you. I accepted your son, Jesus Christ, as my Lord and Savior. I've given my life to you. But, man, I'm messed up right now, God. I need you to show up and show out. The only thing I had left to rely on was my faith. And so between the praying and the crying and going in the back and forth stuff and looking for jobs and can't find jobs, car broke down. I'm walking around, Greenville, South Carolina, with my resume in my hand, just handing out different jobs. And, by the way, I'm from St. Stephen, South Carolina. Definitely a proud native of St. Stephen, South Carolina. You guys probably don't know where it is, but take 10 seconds of your time and go ahead and Google it. Great place, man. Definitely proud of the place where I call home to this day. But I live in Greenville now. But anyway, get back to what Fourth and Faith is really about. It's just pushing through. So I remember just the praying and the crying, and I came across Malachi chapter 3. And if you ever get an opportunity to read that, man, definitely go ahead and check that chapter out. And that chapter really is the foundation of my fourth and faith moment. My biggest one, but as you all know, as you continue life and go through some things, you're gonna have more fourth and faith moments. But anyway, I just remember praying and crying, and a buddy of mine. Shout out to my boy Matt, man. Matt definitely a stand-up guy doing this for me, and this is how I got into coaching, and this changed my life completely, man. God, thank you. Even thinking about this gets me excited and gives me a little bit of the chills. Whew. Again, this is my testimony. This is my story. This is, what made me. But anyway, one of our former coaches at North Greenville gave my boy Matt a call. Was talking about a graduate assistant job. Matt wasn't interested, but Matt knew my situation. And this is what having good friends and solid friends, man, definitely comes into play, man. You have a good friend, man. Sometimes it's better than having a brother. And I do have a brother, love my brother. But my boy Matt, man, definitely came through clutch for me, man. And he was like, hey, now, I'm not interested, but call Gooch. Disclaimer. When we have guests on here, you will hear people say Coach Wilcock. You will hear people say Dr. Wilcock. Then you will hear people say Andre or Gooch, all right? Gooch has been a childhood nickname since, man, I was maybe 7 years old. But anyway, he said, man, give Gooch a call. And I'm talking to a coach at the time, and long story short, again, this at the point in my life where I'm sleeping on, Matt's couch at the time, and I'm living off of 2 packs of ramen noodles a day, and I get on the phone with the coach, and he tells me, "Hey, man, you interview for the job, and you get it. We'll give you 3 meals a day, and you'll sleep in one of the dorms. You have a bed to sleep." And I said, "I'll do it." So you don't know what the job, what we're talking about. So I don't care, man. I'll do it. And so obviously, went on an interview, uh, got the job, and worked for some really great men that I still consider mentors in my life today. And that's Jamie Chadwell, who's now the head football coach at Liberty, and Chad Staggs, who's the defensive coordinator at East Tennessee State. Those 2 men right there, man, changed my life, man. And I've told them that in person, but I hope they really realize that it just wasn't me saying it just for the sake of conversation. And those 2 guys definitely changed my life. And so, anyway, I get the job there, and I was a graduate assistant for 2.5 years at North Greenville, and man, met some guys that really impacted me to this day. And some of the guys that were on that staff, man, I consider brothers for life. But that was my fourth and faith moment, and that was a moment where I was like, God, I need you. And God showed up and showed out, and it's because of that moment I'm now head high school football coach here in South Carolina. I'm head football coach at Eastside High School, and I know none of that is possible without God. I know that if God didn't show up and show out on my behalf, man, I'd probably still be on someone's couch, just crying and praying, crying and praying. But man, God saw me, man, and I'm so thankful that my faith, just having that faith of the persistent widower, I just kept knocking and knocking and knocking, and God opened that door for me, and I'm so appreciative for that moment. That that's something that I'll never forget, and that's something I share with my players, because you're not the only person going through a hard time. Let's just understand that, whatever it is that you're going through that so you can help somebody else get through their situation. And so years later, I mean, that happened in 2009. Years later, I'm coaching ball, doing all these different things with my life, and ended up getting a doctorate. But a true blessing of mine is my wife Angel. She definitely, in this profession as a football coach, and those of you guys that are coaches, man, and coaches' wives, there are some low points in our career, man. And my wife, man, got me off the floor a few times. I'm so thankful for her, and then for my girls. They definitely serve as that inspiration. I know that, hey, man, you can't give up. You can't walk off the field on fourth down. You got to lean on that faith, because those girls didn't ask to be here. You brought these girls into this world, so you definitely got to do your part in making sure that you're here and you're of sound mind to make sure that those girls have the father that they deserve. So, again, I'm super thankful for my family, man. And but that's that fourth and faith, man. And just something you always lean on, something that you can't achieve success without. But anyway, years later, I'm sitting there thinking about, man, I'm gonna do a podcast. I was praying one day, got the idea to do a podcast years ago, and I was like, when I win a state championship, I'm gonna start a podcast and write a book. And I laugh at that now, because that's not showing much faith. That's saying, hey, God, if you do this, then I'll do this. That's not faith at all. And so, have I won a state championship yet? No, I haven't, but it's coming. But anyway, I kept pushing it off, man. And my pastor was like, hey, man, man, it's time. Like, man, it's go time. Let's go. Let's do this. And so I'm like, all right, man, I got you. So, he helped me come up with some names, and none of every name we came up with, someone already had a podcast by that name. But I'm thankful for him, because again, you have to have someone in your life that's going to speak life into you. Because man, life can beat you up sometimes. Man, life can really have you thinking some negative thoughts about who you really are and whose you are. And so I strongly encourage everyone, man, if you don't have someone in your life that's speaking life into you, man, you got to find somebody, man. It could be a pastor, it could be a spouse, man, it could be one of your homeboys. But find that person in your life that's going to always speak life into you, man. Find a coach. It just can't always be about ball 24/7, man. Sometimes, man, we're human beings as well. Man, we have, we have feelings, we have, moments of self-doubt. We have a lot of things that go on in our lives that, man, we need someone to speak life into us. And so, anyway, man, I'm thankful for my pastor, man. Definitely showed up and showed out for me, man, consistently for many years. I actually met my pastor when I was 15, so that means he was 18. And neither one of us was Holy Ghost filled at that point in our lives. But, anyway, that's not who we are today, man. We both encountered fourth and faith situations, and, we're both doing great things in our lives, man. Super appreciative for my pastor. And I'm also JP Hovey, man, this JP is a former player of mine, so it's funny how this thing works, man. A former player of mine, and one of his best friends, Michael Fernandez. Those are my guys anyway. Me and Mikey are talking, and I'm like, man, I'm thinking about this podcast thing. Yeah, I need to go ahead and do it. I need to go ahead and do it, man. You need to call JP, man. He's gonna give you some game on it. And JP was like, hey, man, let's go, man. Like, don't worry about how it's gonna come out the first time, and how you're gonna sound, man. There's gonna be moments where you look back on that first episode, like, man, thank God for growth. And so, if you get a chance, check out his podcast. Make It to Midnight, man. Definitely some inspirational things on his podcast, and hopefully one day, man, I'll be able to get JP on the Fourth and Faith podcast, man. But I'm so thankful for I had former players, man, between Mikey and JP, man, speaking life into me. So again, sometimes you share the gospel and you speak life into people, and when you least expect it, man, when you need it, those same people come back into your life and drop jewels on you. So, man, I'm definitely thankful for those guys and extremely appreciative. But hey, man, this is the first episode of the Fourth and Faith podcast. I hope it's something that we grow together in this thing. Fourth and Faith, is pretty cool, but you have way more than one fourth down in a football game. So, hope you guys, join me on this journey. I hope I give you guys some meaningful content, man. I want to bring people on here. There's a lot of good men of faith, and not especially in the coaching world, but just good men in general, man. I want to bring women on here so they can especially coaches wives, so they can say, hey, man, this is what it looks like being a coach's wife. So y'all quit giving our wives such a hard time in the stands because we decided to throw the ball on 4th and 1 instead of running power. Give us some grace, man. Every team in the world know we're going to run power, so we got to shake it up sometimes in order to achieve success. Don't be afraid, because if you're afraid, man, if you're afraid to take that big shot, man, you're never going to have that confetti moment. And we all want the confetti moment in our lives. So, hey, man, sometimes you got to think outside the box and, roll the dice to do big things. But, man, I'm excited, man. Again, this ain't going to be one of those podcasts to where we're here for 4 or 5 hours. This is going to be something, man, that, you can get a quick piece of inspiration to, get you through the week. And the goal as of right now, man, we want to drop at least twice a month. But you know what? If the demand is there, man, we're going to drop, when you need us to drop. But, man, we're going to go together, man. I hope I'm doing something to inspire you all. But at the end of each episode, I want to do something called the victory formation. All right, so the victory formation of my life is when I pray. All right, that's when I'm in formation to give everything to God and to thank God for everything that He's done for me and He's doing for me and that He will do for me. Now that's my victory formation. And so I want to challenge everyone, man, at least one time a day to get in the victory formation just to tell God thank you. Just to tell God, I appreciate you. Hey, God, you know what? I don't know how we're going to get through this. I don't know what you're going to do, but I trust you. And part of, achieving success on Fourth and Faith is, getting in victory formation and trusting God to handle all things. And so, and again, it's easier said than done. I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, man, I'm the perfect role model. I'm just, I'm Christian of the year. That's not it, man. That's not my story. I'm definitely a work in progress, as we all are. And I just want everyone to know that, hey, man, you know what, man? We can get through this together, man. And man, you're not in this fight by yourself. A lot of times in this walk, we feel lonely. But, man, don't nobody have my back, man. I'm doing this on my own, man. Like, no one understands what I'm going through. No one understands where I'm coming from. But, as the body of Christ, man, we got to be there for one another, man. And so, but this podcast is just going to be a family, Fourth and Faith, man. This is going to be a family atmosphere. And there's going to be episodes where you guys see my children running here and do something crazy. But, hey, man, my mindset, man, faith, family, football, in that order. So, you guys are going to see some things. But, I know I'm talking a lot. And the reason I'm talking a lot is because, man, I'm flat out excited. I'm so excited about this moment because I feel like this is the beginning of a beautiful thing. And look, it's just me. I'm the host. I'm the engineer. I'm everything that goes into a podcast. It's me. I have to hit my own buttons just to, if I want to hit a laugh button, that's me doing that, okay? So it's all me in here, all right? So, we're going to grow this thing, man. And you guys can say, by the end of this year, I remember when the Fourth of Faith podcast was just Coach Wilcock, Andre Wilcock, Gooch, whatever you guys end up calling me. I'm cool with it all. But you guys are going to have that moment, man. I remember he was in there doing everything, man. He was just trying to figure it out. But that's what life is about, man.